On May 6th, 1954, a British athlete named Roger Bannister does something no one on earth has ever done before, and something many thought was impossible. He ran a mile in under 4 minutes. And today we're going to dive into how he did this on Daily Sports History. Welcome to Daily Sports History. I'm Ethan Reese, your guide to a rapid deep dive into sports history every day. Now, we really didn't start keeping track of the mile time until the IWF started keeping track of track and field records in 1913. And at that time, the best record for the mile run was 4 minutes and 14 seconds. But records do go as far back as 1885, where the then record was 4 minutes and 28 seconds. And every year, we inched closer to running a mile in under 4 minutes. But it was a slow burn. And in 1945, Gunther Haag, who ran 4 minutes and 1 second, which is one of the reasons Roger Bannister took to running. He was inspired by countryman Sidney Wooderson, who made a comeback to compete with Gunther Haag, and despite losing, he still set the British record at 4 minutes 4 seconds. Now, Bannister had always been a runner, but this is when he really took it seriously. And the next year, in 1946, he started at Oxford as a student and joined their track team. And he showed promise right away. He had never worn running spikes on a track before. And after 3 weeks, lowered his time to 4 minutes and 24 seconds. And the team let him know that he had a chance to make the Olympics with that time in 1948, which were actually being held in England. But he didn't feel ready to compete, as he was still going to school and wanted to focus on his studies. And he continued to train, but would not attempt an Olympic run. And in 1950, while still at Oxford studying medicine, he continued to train. And at the European Championships that August, he competed in the 800 meter as well as the mile, running the 800 meter in 1 minute 50 seconds. And his mile was 4 minutes and 13 seconds, finishing in third place in both events. And Bannister was tired of not winning, and he decided to devote more time to running. In the following year, at the AAA Championships, he finally won the mile race with a run of 4 minutes and 7 seconds, setting the record for the meet, facing the best competition he had faced so far. And now he was getting serious and wanted to attempt to join the 1952 Olympics. Even though he was still in medical school, he knew his time to be able to compete in the Olympics was limited, and this may be the last time. And in 1951, he avoided as many races as he could, and didn't start training until 1952 to save his energy for the Olympics. At the trials for the Olympics, he ran the 800 meter at 1 minute 53 seconds. Then he ran the mile at 4 minutes 10 seconds, and would skip all other competitions until the Olympics in Helsinki, Finland. 10 days before the final of the Olympics, he did run a time trial of 3 of the 4 laps for the Olympics, coming in just under 3 minutes at 2 minutes and 52 seconds, and which gave him confidence heading in to the finals. Although in the semifinals at the 1500 meter, he finished 5th against all other competition and almost missed the final round, as he was the last competitor to qualify. But for the final, on July 26, 1952, was one of the greatest finales in 1500 meter history, where all 4 races finished within a meter of each other. But Josie Barthelo of Luxembourg ended up setting the Olympic record and winning the gold with 3 minutes and 45 seconds. And the next 3 runners all broke the previous record as well. But Bannister finished just outside the top 3, breaking the record, but finished 4th, setting the British record at 3 minutes 46 seconds, and left the Olympics with no medals. Feeling defeated after this moment, he set his sights on something that many thought was impossible. He wanted to break the 4-minute mile. He knew with his studies and his goal to become a doctor, he may never have a chance again to compete in the Olympics. But he knew he was one of the best runners in the world and wanted to prove that. One good thing that happened at the Olympics, Bannister realized that having someone to pace him made him a better runner, as he was a chasing runner. In 1953, on May 2nd, he attempted to break the record. Being paced by fellow colleague Chris Cataway, was able to run 4 minutes and 3 seconds, shattering the British record. And Bannister realized he had the chance to actually break the record if he continued to train. So after training for months and months, they set a date to attempt to break the 4-minute mile. It was at a race in 1954 where Oxford faced off against the Amateur Athletic Association at a dirt track with his two pacers, Chris Cataway and Chris Brasher. But the morning of was a rainy day. They weren't even sure the race could be run. It was not the conditions they wanted, but they had trained and set everything up for this moment. So they stepped up to the starting line, and Chris Brasher takes the first 2 laps to pace Bannister to attempt to break the record. And after the first 2 laps, Bannister's time was 1 minute 58 seconds, right on track to break the 4-minute mile. Then Chris Cataway takes over for the final 2 laps. And the crowd starts to roar as the excitement is building for the chance to see history. Down the final straightaway, Bannister takes off and gives everything he has and comes to the finish line and almost collapses on the ground, if not for his team there to catch him. And it's almost silent as we hear the loudspeaker announce the results of the race, saying the winner of the mile race is Bannister with the time of 3. And the moment he said 3, the crowd erupted. No one heard it the rest of the time. It didn't matter, because the moment they heard 3 meant he had broken the 4-minute mile, something that no one thought could ever be done before. And his official time was 3 minutes, 59 seconds, 0.04. But sadly, this didn't last forever, as only a month later, Australian runner John Landy ran 3 minutes and 57 seconds. But on August 7th that year, Bannister would get a chance to race against John Landy and beat him with a time of 3 minutes 58 seconds, a race that was later to be known as the Miracle Mile, as they saw 2 runners both run under 4 minutes. Not long after, Bannister gave up running competitively and focused on practicing medicine in the field of neurology, which he would do for the next 40 years. Later on, he would be knighted by the Queen and be known for the rest of his life as Sir Roger Bannister, and support the sport of running for the rest of his life, even though he wasn't competing anymore. Despite never winning an Olympic medal, Roger did something many thought was impossible. And because of this, his name will always be remembered in the history books. Because sometimes the impossible just needs one person to stand up and show that it's possible. But what's not impossible is subscribing or following Daily Sports History so you don't miss an episode, because the best thing you can do to support us is come back and listen every single day. So don't miss another episode tomorrow of Daily Sports History.